Hey everyone, you ever feel like it's all about the grades? Like that's all that
Oh
matters.
yeah, it can be tough to see past the next test, right? Especially for teenagers, I think.
It really can, yeah. And that's why I think this deep dive is going to be so interesting
Oh, for sure.
because we're looking at some really insightful ideas from a Chinese author, Bai Shuxi Feng. He writes under this pen name, Green Trees West Wind,
Hmm.
and he's all about why success in life. Well, it takes more than just acing those exams.
Yeah, and I think Fang's perspective is so interesting because he's coming from this culture that puts so much emphasis on academic achievement.
It's like it's baked in, right?
Yeah, but he's urging parents to think beyond that?
Yeah, and he has this analogy about investing, which I thought was so interesting.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
describes how a lot of parents approach education like it's the stock market, you know?
Right, it's like they're pouring all their resources, time, energy into their kids' schooling,
Well,
hoping for a big payoff, you
a
know?
huge return, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, a lot of us can relate to that, right? I mean, we all want our kids to have a good future.
Oh, for sure.
But then Feng uses this term unfinished projects, and it's kind of heartbreaking, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's these kids that, despite all the investment, they don't get into those top schools, and it makes you wonder, like, is it all worth it? You know?
Totally, yeah. And that's where Feng gets really thought-provoking because he's saying this laser focus on just getting into a good school, it kind of backfires because it leaves kids unprepared for, you know, the real world, everything that comes after those exams.
Exactly. I love how he talks about this, what they don't teach you in school,
Mm.
gap.
Yeah, like how to choose the right city to live in or how to deal with like a really tough boss. No one teaches you that in school, right?
Exactly.
And those are skills that you need regardless of what you do in life.
Totally. Like how to spot a bad deal, too.
Uh-huh. He gives this example of playing high-stakes poker with his son
Yeah.
with
Wow.
real money.
I know, right? Sounds intense.
But it was all about teaching him about risk,
Hmm.
making decisions under pressure, the kind of stuff that traditional education sometimes misses.
Yeah, and it makes you think, what are those essential skills that we all wish we had learned? Like managing money, maybe, or public speaking? It's those
Yeah.
things that can really help you or not,
Hit
in life,
totally.
not your GPA.
Exactly. And that's where Fang brings up this idea of like multi-goal learning.
Multi-goal learning.
Yeah, it's not just about school, it's about like giving your kid a bunch of different skills for all different parts of life.
There's a more well-rounded approach.
Yeah, exactly. Feng really believes in learning by doing. So he'll put his son in these real world
Like
situations,
what?
like looking at investments or even just like navigating those social situations at school. He says it's kind of like a mini workplace.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's about giving them a taste of what life's really like.
Yeah.
Not just what they read in a textbook.
Right?
And the thing is, he doesn't shy away from the hard stuff either.
What do you mean?
Like, he wants his son to deal with difficult situations.
Oh,
Yeah, to make mistakes, and to learn how to think for themselves instead of just following the rules all the time.
which is so important, right?
Yeah.
Because life is messy.
Exactly. And it's not like you get a multiple choice test for everything.
Right.
So to help his son with all this, Feng teaches him about mental models.
Mental models, what are those?
Think of it like a framework for making decisions.
Yeah.
It's a way to break down complicated stuff and make better choices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like a simple one for teenagers could be like a cost-benefit analysis.
So like weighing the pros and cons.
Exactly. Like, should I skip homework to go to this party? What are the benefits? What are the costs?
Let me see.
And the more of these mental models they have, the better they'll be at handling whatever life throws at them.
Because teenagers don't always make the best decisions, right?
Well, let's just say they could use some help sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think these tools could help us talk to them too.
Oh yeah, those conversations can be tough.
For sure. It's less about telling them what to do and more about them making their own smart choices.
Okay, this is all great. But how do we actually start doing this?
Feng says it doesn't have to be complicated. Even small everyday things can be learning moments.
Oh, like what?
Like planning a family vacation, let your teenager help decide.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, give them options. Talk about the good and bad. Let them have a say.
So it's about turning those everyday moments into like practice time for decision making.
Right. And you can do that with other things too, like allowances activities, even like dealing with their friends.
It's like working out.
Mhm.
You got to keep lifting those mental weights to get stronger.
Exactly. It's all about giving them the chance to think for information, analyze information, make judgments. And it's okay to make mistakes. That's how they learn.
That's such a good point. Isn't that what we really want for our kids? To be able to think for themselves, make good choices even when we're not there.
Absolutely. And that brings us to Feng's critique of traditional education, He thinks there's a big disconnect between what schools teach and what people need in the real world.
Interesting. So how do we fix that? How do we help our kids succeed in school but also prepare them for everything else?
Well, it starts with changing our mindset. We need to stop thinking that education is just about cramming facts for a test.
It's about more than just checking those boxes, right?
Yeah.
It's about them having the skills to actually succeed in life.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, you need good grades to get into college or whatever, but once you're there, it's those other skills that really matter.
Yeah.
Critical thinking, problem solving, being able to adapt.
The house needs a good foundation before you can build the rest of it.
Exactly. And Feng's big on building that foundation through good habits.
Habits.
Yeah, things like being consistent with your effort, managing your time, having a process for making decisions. Those are way more important than just memorizing facts for a test.
So it's how they learn, not just what they learn.
Yeah. And there's actually a lot of research showing that those non-cognitive skills are really important for success, like grit, resilience, self-control.
Those are the things that help you bounce back, right? When things get tough.
Exactly. And those are the qualities we want our kids to have. It's not about being perfect. It's about being able to keep going even when it's hard.
I love that. So how do we help our teens develop that?
It's about encouraging a growth mindset, the idea that you can always learn and get better. It's not about being the best. It's about embracing challenges and learning from your mistakes.
That's so important.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up, what's the biggest takeaway from Feng's work, especially for parents who are worried about their kids' grades and all that pressure?
I think Feng reminds us that success isn't just one thing, It's not about a number on a report card. It's about being well-rounded, having the skills and habits to do well in all parts of life.
It's about helping them find their own path.
Exactly, and giving them the tools to figure things out.
And to make their own choices.
Right. Remember that analogy about the kids who grew up around casinos? They don't gamble as much because they understand how it works. It's not about protecting our kids from the world. It's about preparing them for it.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
So here's something you can tell your teenager. Learning isn't just about memorizing facts for a test. It's about developing the skills and judgment to create the life you want. And those are lessons you learn every day, not just in a classroom.
That's a great way to put it. It's a journey, not a race.
Exactly. Well said. So keep exploring these ideas with your teen. And remember, some of the best lessons are learned outside of school. That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.